All right, we're back. We're live, off and on rain showers expected today, as we said earlier, with plenty of clouds. Seems like it's clouding up quite a bit now, so expect possibly a somewhat of a messy commute getting home. The rain is supposed to be changing over to snow showers. We have a winter weather advisory and maybe some well, I don't want to say significant yet, but a couple of inches on the ground for tomorrow morning. So you'll be dusting off your car if it's parked outside of your garage or your barn. We have with us two ladies right now, Carrie and Susan, Cary Friberg and Susan McKnight from the Barre Congregational Church. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So happy to have you here. This is podcast number 2. You and I have chatted a little bit in the past about maybe making this a regular thing and having you all in here once a month for now and just talk about not only the Barre Congregational Church, but what's going on with the church in general these days, the big church, the church of our country. I mean, the church in general and the health of it and getting people to either get back to church or really start finding some peace in their lives right now. With everything that's going on, there's really not a whole heck of a lot of peace that's happening. You got to look for it. You got to look hard for it. And we talked about this last time I had you on. There's just so much, quote unquote bad news. It's everywhere. It's on our phones. It's on our TVs. It's on the radio. It's everywhere. We've got to try to get our feet back on the ground and get grounded and get back to what makes us happy, what brings us some peace and some calm in our lives this time of year. And I mean, we're right in front of Christmas. What better time?
It's true.
Yeah. And it's as I said, it's not always easy to do that and not easy to find that. I've had, I think, more friends than ever before tell me, and I've either seen it on Facebook or they've said it to me directly, that they're kind of having a challenging time finding Christmas and getting into the spirit of Christmas right now for whatever reason. It's not easy. How do we do that? How do we reconnect with the real reason for the season to try to find that peace and that hope for renewness?
That's a great question, JD. Carrie?
Well, what comes to my mind is that if you can balance the running around and the festivities with frankly, going to church or setting aside time in your life for prayer or for reading or for walking or whatever it is that sort of tends to ground you. I think that's helpful, and I think it's really important at a time of year like this. I know that for me, simply going to church and sitting there with my fellow churchgoers, it just makes me feel part of something other than the commercialism of Christmas. And it reminds me that there's something called Advent, and that it's all about the anticipation of Jesus's birth and the anticipation of what maybe inviting Jesus into your life can feel like. And that helps me stay a lot more sane during what's often kind of a crazy, hectic time. So that's what I would suggest.
In the commercialization of what this holiday has become is, some might say, is outrageous. I mean, it's huge. It's becoming bigger and bigger, and more of the primary focus around Christmas than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that can be discouraging for many.
Yeah.
Well, well, it's empty in the end.
Yeah.
It becomes a kind of worship of commercialism, and that really doesn't feed the spirit,
Yeah.
I don't think. And I would add to what Carrie's, are you finished?
Mhm.
I would add to that, Jesus came and was called the Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
That was part of the prophecy about his coming. And I hear people say, well, where is that Prince of Peace right now? And what I've come to understand is that a lot of people are fine with adoring Jesus as a baby in the manger, but a little resistant to paying attention to what he taught us and who he was. And I think that's a real key to knowing peace inside. And I don't think there's going to be peace in the world until, as individuals, there's peace in us, because I think each of us is a little microcosm of the big world. So if a lot of us are running around without peace in us, the world is going to reflect that. And I think I find when I'm able to do it, follow Jesus' teachings.
Yeah.
Because he said, my peace I give to you. He told his followers before he left, my peace I give to you. So that, to me, that means that peace is in there somewhere. But in order to access it, I need to pay attention to the way Jesus lived and the way he instructed us to live. Like, don't judge people. When I do that, which I do way too much.
We all do.
I'm not feeling peace then. When I hold on to resentments, I'm not feeling peace. When I badmouth another person, or when I get into fear, and that was one of that's one of the Bible's biggest teachings. It's over and over and over. I've heard it's over 200 times in the Bible. The word through angels, from God, from prophets, from Jesus himself, fear not, or, a similar phrase. And I don't think that means don't feel fear, because that's a natural emotion that comes.
Sure.
But I think he's instructing us not to live in fear. And every time I find myself tangled up in worry and anxiety, that's a form of fear. And so I'm not living whenever I do any of those things, I'm not following Jesus' teachings, and I'm not experiencing peace.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's one of the keys of experiencing peace this season and all year round.
So many of us, and I've certainly very guilty of this, go to bed with our cell phones, and the last thing that we're seeing and what's being registered in our brain before we fall asleep is some form of bad news. Usually it's COVID related, or what's going on in the world, and the conflicts that are happening, and what's happening with our government, and on and on and on. And that's the last thing that we're registering before we shut the phone off and close our eyes. I mean, our head is already on the pillow at that point. So, and then we wake up in the morning, like I did this morning, to the news that we just hit our 800,000th death in America with COVID. And then there's all of that. And the Omicron and the Delta's kicking back into gear. And then what's happening right here in the Green Mountain State. And you couple all that together. We had 4 deaths yesterday. It's overwhelming. We're hit left and right with negative news. And I said yesterday, I mean, some of the stuff, we'll share it up on the Facebook page here, because it is trending news. But man, it's some of this stuff is hard to read.
I know.
It's hard to read.
I know.
We've got to find, one of you said, get outside, get some fresh air, do something for yourself, pick up a book, read, have some quiet time. One of the things that we talk about with our little 7-year-old girl is, how there's so much overstimulation right now this time of year. The movies are playing. There's all the Christmas movies. There's the constant Christmas music. There's the constant lights. there's
advertisements for the coolest toys.
Hello, there's all the advertising. There's everything's happening in and out of the stores, and rush, get this and get that, and if you don't get this by this certain time, you may not get it in the mail, and all of this pressure, which is all coming, right after Thanksgiving, and it's amazing to literally power down, unplug, and just have a little bit of quiet.
Yeah.
2 nights ago, Mom was out grocery shopping. Lily and I were in the house alone, had dinner, and after dinner, we talked about playing a game instead of throwing the TV on, which, most kids always want to do that. But we ended up playing a game, and then when that was over, she wanted to light the candles for this Scandinavian old-fashioned wooden Christmas carousel. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, yeah.
You love that stuff.
I saw it on your Facebook page.
Oh, you did? Did you? So she wanted to light the candles for that. So we lit the candles, and to my surprise, 7-year-old girl goes over to the kitchen table, gets a chair, slides the chair over, reaches up, flicks the lights off in the kitchen, and just sat there in a chair and watching this carousel go around for a long time. And I'm thinking, oh man, these candles are, they're going to burn out. Then we can't find any more candles of that size, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, forget about it. Let it go.
Absolutely.
Just let her enjoy the peace and the magic of
there you go
of Christmas.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
You got to ride their wave sometimes.
And you might have started a new family tradition right there.
That's right.
That every evening after supper, you light a candle. It doesn't have to be those candles, but you light a candle, and you
just be quiet.
Just be quiet with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, it wasn't really anything that I, tried to implement. She just kind of, it just unfolded that way.
Well, sometimes you have to follow the children.
That's right. You got to follow the lead, and it was a profound moment for us.
Oh, yeah.
And then
that's nice.
And then she's got the candle chimes too that go around from the heat of the candle, which is amazing. But she loves this. One of the things that you all say is look at your calendar when you get started in the day, and I have a paper calendar here. I've got a digital calendar, and it's full. It's crammed every day. But one of the things that you all say is make part of your daily to-do list to be kind.
Right. And in the morning, perhaps, to look at that calendar. What's ahead for me today? What am I doing? And how can I be present in each of those interactions? Who am I going to see?
Yeah.
Let me picture him or her right here, right now.
Right.
Let me start already thinking good thoughts about that person, those people.
Yeah.
Let me assume that these interactions are going to go well.
That's not easy to do.
Let me not be fretful about what might be said or done or what might happen. How can I go to these meetings or have these interviews or
an unexpected confrontation with some guy that's left his shopping cart right in your empty parking space or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How can I bring out the best in that person in that moment and in myself? How can I walk away from that interaction feeling, well, good about me too?
Yeah.
And knowing that I've made their day better as well. So that is a good practice, I think, as we anticipate our hectic days, especially.
Yeah.
We could even ask God to bless each of those people and interactions that are coming up.
The other thing I wanted to mention, JD, when you were talking about falling asleep at night, I do a practice where as I'm lying there trying to go to sleep, I breathe in and breathe out, of course, nice and slowly. And when I breathe in, I say inside of my own head, I say peace. And when I breathe out inside of my head, I say love.
Yeah.
So it's this peace.
I've heard folks do that
love.
exact same thing.
And I sort of picture God being part of that wheel as well. As it's as if I'm breathing in God's peace.
Yeah.
And then turning it into God's love through me and out of me. And then breathing in the peace again and breathing out the love again. You'd be surprised at how
Biologically, what it can do.
calming that can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you just feel like you're sort of spreading that peace and love.
Yeah.
And you can start thinking about the people you love and directing it toward them. And
Sure.
so it's a way to kind of counteract the news from your cell phone or your iPad
Sure.
that you've just put away.
Which is very tempting. It's very tempting. Especially folks like me. I mean, I just want to be caught up with what's going down right now. What's the latest? What's happening? What do I need to know about? We talk about during Christmas the miracle of Christmas, and I got to tell you, when the 250 bins full of Christmas stuff come down out of my attic. How many? 500? Oh, there's 5. Well, it feels like there's 250. and they come down from the attic just to the main floor, which takes a day and a half just to do that alone. And then when you get these bins out, when they get opened up, there's a magic. There's a miracle of Christmas that happens as soon as the lids come off of those bins. Almost instantly, you look down in there and you see, oh yeah, that tablecloth. I love that tablecloth.
Remember Aunt Martha when she made that for us? Yeah.
That's it. And the wreath and the ornaments. I mean, the ornaments are the big ones. It's so easy to forget those ornaments after they come off of last year's Christmas tree and they get packed away. But when we see them again and we remember them, it's I don't know about you guys, but I get on a roller coaster. I mean, there's joy, there's some sadness, there's all kinds of different emotions that come with it. And then the stuff starts coming out of those bins, and the excitement that Lily has taking this and wanting to decorate that and put this over here and this over here is it's a profound experience. It really, and it continues for a long time. I mean, all these bins, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Well, you're lucky to have a 7-year-old to share it with.
Yeah.
That's a lovely age.
It's amazing. It's amazing. The other night we were driving home, and just Lily and I can't remember what it was, but it was I had just seen my dad in the nursing home, and it was not a good situation and something that really brought me down. But Lily and I are driving home, and we pull into the drive. It was kind of a quiet ride home for both of us, and she's processing everything that she's seeing and hearing in the nursing home environment, and seeing her papa in the condition that he's in. Quiet ride home. We get home, we pull in the driveway, and this little girl, man, she just comes out with the most amazing things, unfiltered. We get out of the car, and she looks up And you would have thought that by the amount of excitement that she had, that she looked up and literally saw Santa's sleigh flying through the air. Dad, look. Oh, my God, look. And pointing up. And I'm like, what? She said, the Christmas star. And, I mean, she was excited like, I can't even tell you. But you talk about it, the miracle of Christmas. I mean, that's it right there.
Mm-hmm. That was it.
Doesn't care at that point about anything else that's going on other than the excitement of that Christmas star.
Being in the moment. And she was on the lookout for miracles. I think that's part of the way I think miracles happen around us all the time.
They sure do.
But we don't look for them.
No.
We don't notice them.
I never would have noticed. I just wouldn't. I was in my own, my own funk. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have noticed.
She
without
special
her,
indeed.
Yeah.
Once again, the little child shall lead them.
Leave it up to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They'll show you. They'll remind you what you've forgotten or maybe what you're not looking for.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing, though? It's just like
so cool.
That's it. That's Christmas.
And I think part of the miracle of Christmas is remembering that we're not alone, which is what the coming of Jesus is all about. God coming in human skin.
Sure.
It's called the incarnation. God coming not only for us, but as us.
Yeah.
And so we're not alone. We're never alone. And I think a lot of the miracles that I hear about, people talk about, and a lot of miracles in my life, are about remembering that.
Yeah.
That stunning remembering that we are not alone.
Sure.
And I have a story about that.
Please.
That it was a Christmas miracle. It was Christmas Eve, 1999. My husband had died on December 4th. And I worked at the Barre Church as director of Christian education, so I wasn't in charge of worship. And so I was just sitting in the pew. I was all by myself. And I looked around, and here were all these families gathered, and I just was overcome with grief. And I was weeping. I was weeping in my pew there. And at the end of the Christmas Eve service at the Barre Congregational Church, in the days before COVID, when there was a big choir, the choir would come down to the side aisles during the singing of Silent Night, and everybody would have their candles.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful indeed, but I didn't even notice that. I was so caught up in my aloneness. And all of a sudden, I felt a hand on my shoulder. And I looked over, and it was a person in the choir. And he said I could use his name here in public because a lot of people hearing this podcast will probably know him as Cary Johnson. I don't know if you know Cary. He's a fine man and a good friend. And he had stepped from the choir, the side aisle, into a pew, stepping over some people. He had seen me in distress, and he just put his hand on my shoulder. That was 1999. That was over 20 years ago. And I still remember that moment like it was
yesterday. Like
it was this morning.
Yeah.
That feeling that I am not alone. There's somebody who cares.
Yeah.
And to me, that's part of what miracle is. Recognizing that we're a part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yep.
And
yeah, no question about it. And it's so easy for all of us to get caught up in what's happening in our lives right now. We've all got stories. They're all unique. What's happening to us, what's happening with us, and it's very easy to forget that somebody else right close by you might be having it much worse right now. And that even if the cards are stacked up against you, you probably have it, in retrospect, you probably have it pretty good right now.
And if you are feeling down, I think one of the best ways to get up is to do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Get out of yourself.
Sure.
Which is part of the miracle of Christmas too.
Yeah. Of course it is. Of course it is.
The whole giving and getting out of ourselves.
I've been thinking a lot about miracles too, in sort of preparation for today, I think, and along the same lines, what I've been recalling is when I went through cancer twice, and the miracles that occurred during that time was not necessarily miraculously I was cured, but it was really the incredible outpouring of love and care and attention that I got from so many different people, whether it was my health providers or my colleagues or my friends or my students at the time or their parents or
strangers,
people in waiting rooms, people at the other end of the phone scheduling appointments. It was just one little miraculous moment after another, it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Because people jumped out of their comfort zones, leapt over the boundaries that we had already established between us. This is how we act together. Oh, no, we don't.
Yeah. There's a million boundaries. Boundaries.
Not right now. We don't act like that anymore because right now you have cancer and I really love you and I'm going to tell you.
Sure.
And I'm going to show you and and so I would come home day after day and tell my husband about these encounters.
Yeah.
These conversations I was having that would never, ever have happened.
Yeah.
Had cancer not entered my life. And he was having the same things happening with him at his place of work with his colleagues and his clients. And they were all stepping up and stepping out and stepping toward him. And to me, that was just a pile of miracles.
Sure.
Throughout that whole ordeal. And I think, as Susan was saying, it often has to do with, the person who puts his hand on your shoulder at just the right moment.
That's right.
Phew. And we can all do that. We can do that today.
Yeah.
Do that.
And it doesn't have to be the actual hand on the shoulder. It could be just a quick text, reaching out,
Absolutely.
quick phone call, email, whatever.
Yeah.
Near or far.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Autry from the Faith Community Church, who I'm dying for you ladies to meet, has been in several times here on the podcast. And as the pastor of the Faith Community Church, and being a boy from the Carolinas, he can put out some volume, and with his message, he's very good. But we've had conversations in the past. As a matter of fact, last year, the epiphany of Christmas, which is, I think it's the date on the calendar when Christmas is
January 6th.
January 6th. That's
12th,
it.
The 12th day
The
of Christmas.
12th day of Christmas. That's the day when everything is supposed to come to a screaming halt. The tree comes down, the decorations, the this and that, and Christmas is, quote unquote, over. And it's bad luck to keep the tree up past that. And Sherilyn would keep the tree up until the 4th of July if it were up to her. And then there's my brother who he wants that tree down right after the presents have been opened. I mean, he's one of these guys, let's get the tree down, get it out of here, get the couch moved back to where it is, let's vacuum, let's dust, let's get it all put away.
Normal.
Let's get back to normal. Too much clutter. It's stressing me out. The pine needles everywhere, and they got to water the tree all the time. But keeping Christmas in your heart beyond Christmas is not always easy too, because then we're right into the new year, and all the resolutions going to quit smoking, going to quit drinking, going to have all these big expectations for ourselves, and we're going to wipe the slate clean. We put all this pressure on ourselves, and we've forgotten about Christmas so easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We get into the doldrums here, the long cold days, and it's without a whole heck of a lot of sunlight, and we can get down, and
That's right.
bang, Christmas is over, and it's we've allowed it to leave our hearts too. It's horrible. We're all guilty of that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not all of us, but it just seems like we can, there's like almost like a post Christmas depression.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. A letdown.
It's very real.
We're not getting out the eggnog and the Bailey's Irish cream to celebrate taking the ornaments off the tree.
But we really should.
We should. We should. Yeah, you're right. We should. Or playing the Christmas music when the decorations are coming down. It's more of a task.
Well, you'll have Lily to lead you through January. Who knows what she's cooking up?
Exactly.
Believe me, I know.
And maybe it's a conversation you could have with Lily. How can we continue the Christmas spirit?
That's right.
Because it's got to be a conscious decision, because the rest of the world's
That's right.
not going to be on board with this. They're going to want to clean up the pine needles. And
You're spot on.
And focus you on your next buying opportunity on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So it's going to need to be a conscious, on purpose decision.
Yeah.
That I am going to hold this Christmas spirit in
Right.
my heart, and then decide what is that Christmas spirit
Yes.
that you want to have ongoing in your life.
Yeah.
And how will you establish that? And when you mentioned resolutions, that just clicked in my mind. Oh yeah, isn't that what we do? At Christmas we celebrate that we're not alone.
Yeah.
That we've got these God seeds within us. We've got God's presence as close to us as our very breath. Alive in us. And then we turn around immediately and then say, I've got this resolution.
Oh, yeah.
It's up to me to do this. It's,
Yeah.
I got to make this happen. And it's, again, me
Right.
on my own steam. And it's been my experience. I don't get too far on just my own steam.
I think the average American average is like between 60 and 90 days or something like that on the resolution. I know.
Boy, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
actually, it does.
I could be very liberal here. I can't remember what the stat is, but it's something. It's very short. It's short-lived.
Yeah.
It's short-lived, and and then we have all the post-holiday. Not only are all the lights and everything in that magic glow in our house can be gone, but there's also the financial stress that
right.
comes with the post-Christmas blues.
And the guilt about all we ate,
Yeah.
the poundage we put on, and then the guilt that we can't keep our resolutions.
Yep.
So
Buyer's remorse.
Let's just pile it all on.
Yeah. It's amazing.
No wonder we're a mess by
Right. And it's like, one of the things that we really are trying to instill with Lily is that on December 26th, you can still say Merry Christmas to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 27th too, and maybe even the 28th.
And maybe even
maybe into January in the new year. It's how are things over at the Barre Congregational Church? It must look. Growing up in a congregational church, I know that there's no fooling around with the amount of decorations. I'm guessing it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and it's beautiful, and it's messy.
Yeah.
And the reason it's messy is because we're getting a new organ.
Okay.
And so we're in the process of the construction for the new organ, which to me just makes it all the more beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that, we have this incredible opportunity to have a new organ, and guess what? The construction and the mess and the dust and the tools and the disruption is happening around Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, that's excitement. You're looking forward to. You're looking forward.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah, it's a mixture of beauty and mess, and we're entering the church in a slightly different way, because our entrance is a little bit slippery and a little bit dangerous. And so we figured out sort of a side way to enter. And in so doing, it's more intimate.
Yeah.
The minute you walk in, you are greeted.
Yeah.
And you can't sneak in.
Yeah.
And you can't sneak out. But that's lovely.
Yeah, of course it is.
So yeah, the church looks fantastic, and our pastor is wonderful, and the sermons are great, and because we're getting a new organ, our organist is using the piano.
Oh.
And I happen to just love piano music, so that's a thrill for me. And so we get to sit there in quiet meditation and listen to him play.
That's great. Yeah.
That's just one more reason to go to church, as far as I can see.
It is lovely, and talk about peaceful. And in order to cut down the singing, everybody's masked.
Yeah.
But then there's the singing issue, singing with masks. So for one hymn of each Sunday, we don't sing the words. They're printed in the bulletin. And Eric plays them in this beautiful way that he does, it's not just playing the hymn. It's he adds a whole lot to it. It's very beautiful.
Wow.
And we have a chance to just be with the words of that hymn, or be there with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Just be in the beauty, of sound and visuals. It's really lovely.
I'm guessing there's a few in the congregation that we might be glad that they have a mask on when it comes to their singing skills.
Very few.
Yeah, very few.
Myself, perhaps.
But
I will join you in that.
And it's not like if you show up for church on Sunday that you guys are doing an interview at the entrance saying, all right, can you sing on key? Oh, you can? All right, then you can come in. You take people as they are.
We take people as they are. And if people come to church during Advent, this Sunday is the last Sunday in Advent. But Cary made these beautiful, for each Sunday in Advent, there's a theme.
Yeah.
Hope, peace, joy, and love are the themes for each Sunday. That's pretty standard in most churches. And so Cary painted these beautiful little rocks. We thought this year especially, people need to take those qualities with them. They need a tangible way to remember those themes. And so she took little stones and painted them. So each week, as you come into the church and are greeted, there is a tray of lovely painted stones for you to help yourself to carry in your pocket, to remember to take this joy home with you.
That is such a creative idea.
With you. And so people can come one more Sunday in Advent. They can get a stone this Sunday.
And we light there's a different candle lit for each one.
That's correct, on the Advent wreath. Yep.
Yeah. How is the congregation as a whole doing with what's happening with COVID?
Well,
big question.
35 to 40 of us show up on a Sunday morning, and we sit masked and distanced. Mm-hmm. I'm delighted and surprised as I look around and I see who is there. I see who is comfortable enough to be there, and it's really nice that some people who hesitated for a while have ventured back. And when I ask them, do you feel safe? Are you okay? They say, yeah, this is okay. And others are Zooming. They're Zooming in. So that's where we stand with that. And others who are doing neither are still not completely absent. They're finding other ways to be part of the church that doesn't include Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too. And I think that has to be more and more okay as we go forward. That people need to find ways to be part of the church that suit them.
Newcomers, I'm guessing your message would be, look, we all know what's going on right now with COVID and whatnot. But please don't think of this as being you're in a room with 500 other people in close proximity. There's a lot of us are. You talked about fear earlier. We're fearful. We're hesitant. We've got our guards way up, and maybe hesitant toward feeling that if this has nothing to do with COVID, but that if we walk into a church for the first time, that there's some sort of expectation of us that we have to return, that we have to become a member of the church, that we have to sing, we have to stick around afterwards for social hour. And I think more and more people need to hear, look, this is our church, this is our family. There's no pressure for you to become a member of our family, but if you're very private, this is a day of the week and a time where you can come in, still be private. If you just need to, you want to be quiet. You don't want to socially engage so much, but you just need to have this experience for yourself in a church setting. The music, the visual, everything that goes with it. Please come.
Mm-hmm. Please come.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to stick around afterwards, and we're not going to grill you with a million questions. You know, just come to the church.
But we do want to greet you warmly.
Yeah.
Because what I often hear is people saying, I went to that church or a church. Nobody really went out of their way to say hello.
Great point.
I've never met you before. My name's Cary.
Great point.
And so you got to do some of that.
A little bit, yeah.
You gotta.
It's finding the balance.
Yeah, you
Yes.
got to say, I don't
welcome.
think I've met you
You're
before.
welcome to be here. Yeah.
I'm Cary. Thanks for coming. I hope you come again.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
that. And then if they feel like, boy, that was nice, maybe they'll come back again. Otherwise, I don't think they feel like, oh gosh, now I have to go back.
Sure.
I think we also need to be really conscious of people who are not used to being in church, but they wander in. This happened just last Sunday.
Yeah.
After church had started, a man came in and sat down in front of me, but wasn't really settled and actually needed to use the bathroom. And
Yeah.
so I helped him get to the bathroom, and he came back and settled down again. And
Yeah.
then when it was time to open up the hymnal, he didn't quite know where the hymnal was. I handed him my hymnal. But then it occurs to me, you know, Carrie, not everybody knows how to read music.
Right.
Or even read the sort of the thick verses of O Come, Emmanuel.
Or even recognize the song.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
And so I kind of watched him sort of look, and I could tell it was kind of all Greek to him. And so I think churches really need to be aware that a lot of what we do is Greek to people. Even the simple things
Amen.
that we take for granted are
Sure.
they're, people who have not been to church very much. They don't get it. But they need to be somehow greeted and smiled at least.
And felt welcomed.
Yeah.
Felt welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go
Can I
ahead.
just add one more thing? During Advent, also, people who don't want to come into an inside space, if there's that concern, there's a Sunday afternoon, 4:00, outside worship, which is more informal and
hot chocolate.
So
Are we talking marshmallows here? Or just, okay.
Stories, singing, 20 minutes, boom,
Wow.
done. You've been to church, but you haven't walked in.
Oh.
You've brought the kids. They've scrambled around. You've gotten your little fix of
I think
Advent.
that's great.
It is.
That's something that the Barre Congregational Church did since COVID?
Yeah, we've been doing it this year. With this pastor.
Okay. Wow.
just during Advent.
Yeah.
Right, during these 4 Sundays before Christmas.
Okay.
So this will be the last Sunday for it, but people
4
would be
o'clock.
welcome to show up at 4:00.
I heard you just mention, O come, Emmanuel. Tell me a bit more about that, Emmanuel.
You.
Okay. Emmanuel literally means God with us. And so as Christians, or this Christian believes that, Jesus came to show us who God is. He's a part of the Trinity in Christianity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, or Creator, Christ, Holy Spirit, some people call it. To bring God closer to us and bring us closer to God. Humanity and God can meet in Jesus. And I think a lot of when Jesus was born, a lot of the old, the Greeks and Romans had gods who were out there, the transcendent God. And God could feel kind of remote, or the gods could feel very remote. And in Jesus, this is a whole new understanding and reality of God, who came in with skin on to be one with us. God with us. It's an amazing concept when you think of it. So, O come, Emmanuel is really a beautiful phrase and spilling over with meaning.
There's so much that we have said today that, we all need reminders of. Mm-hmm. We just need to be cognizant of these things and have them in the back of our mind, if not the forefront of our mind. But certainly, I think at the beginning of the day, and maybe a little bit at the end, too.
I think if they were forefront in our minds, our lives would be a lot different.
Yeah. Despite everything that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Right in the midst of everything that's happening.
Christmas is alive and well.
It is.
No matter what's happening.
Jesus was born into a messy, violent world, and so I really liked Carrie's description of the church right now, that we are welcoming Christ into our hearts once again.
Mess.
In the midst of the mess.
Sure.
Not after the mess is done.
Yeah.
Not after we're all cleaned up,
of
and
course.
better people. Mm-hmm. Right in the midst of our messes.
Yeah.
The miracle comes in the middle of the mess.
Isn't that something? It's so true. So true.
It's amazing.
I think I've always tended to think that Jesus entered a peaceful world for some reason. I think I get caught up in the manger scene and the bucolic animals and the shepherds and the star, and I think, how peaceful. Well, it wasn't a peaceful world at all, and nor is it a peaceful world today.
Yeah.
And there's something sort of reassuring about that Jesus will come anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a pie in the sky.
That's right.
Religion.
That's right. Gosh, we're how many days away from Christmas now? What is it, like
10?
10,
Not too
10 days.
many.
10 days away. Wow.
Not too many.
Just tap the brakes on the stress and the pressure that you have for yourself to get it all done, whether it's shopping, decorating, finding the money, putting it all together, having everything wrapped up.
Just right.
Just right.
Perfect, right?
Perfect,
It's gotta be perfect
and ready to go.
Family dinner's got to be perfect, and no.
People visiting, whatever it is. Just tap the brakes on that.
Otherwise, you end up exhausted.
Sure.
Christmas morning, you're exhausted, and that's when I think you can't wait for it to be over.
Right.
That's right.
Exhausted and empty.
Shut the lights off.
Yeah.
Light the candles of your Scandinavian Christmas carousel. Pull up a chair and just sit down and watch. Be quiet. Shut the phone off. Shut the TV off.
Breathe in peace.
Yeah.
Breathe out the buzzing bees
Exactly.
of your mind, or breathe out ego, or breathe out disappointment, or
just be quiet.
Yeah,
and
breathe out love into the world.
Sip on a little Baileys if you want to at the same time, but just hit the brakes.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that tonight again.
And give other people permission to do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
And let people know you're doing that, and that might give them permission to do it too.
Good idea.
My Christmas isn't going to be perfect, and I think it's always nice when people share their flaws in a way, or their failures, or their I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing what I thought I should be doing. I'm doing it a different, more simple way.
Yeah.
And guess what? It feels really good.
Yeah, it does. And maybe alleviate some of the high expectations that you put on yourself, and worse, the expectations that you think other people have for you.
Right.
Give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Man.
And others too. Give other people a break.
That's right.
Too.
Be kind.
Be kind.
We say that to Lily every morning, walking into school. That's the last words out of my mouth. Be kind. So,
good parting advice.
Thank you, ladies, so much for coming in here and chatting about the message of Christmas and all that goes with it, which is so much of what we forget this time of year. And I'm guilty of it too. Great reminder. We hope that folks are going to take this episode and share it away. And be well. God bless both of you. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you, JD.
God bless
Merry
you
Christmas.
and all the watchers and listeners.
Enjoyed having you on. Thank you so much.